In this video, I'm going to provide a full detailed demonstration of the main SAP Enable Now deliverables and delivery methods. I'm going to cover simulations, Courseware, the web assistant including guided tours and help tiles, desktop assistant using the trainer, and I'll look at using SAP Enable Now as an LMS for course assignments to users as well. It's going to be a long video, but I have put chapter markers into the video so you can jump to the relevant section if you need to. I'm going to start here, which is a dummy training library I've set up. This is what's often referred to as the trainer, and is really just a website that gives access to all of your training content structured the way you would like it to be structured. And you'll typically create that structure as you're creating your content anyway, so that your content has somewhere to sit. So the structure that you see in here, and I see down the left-hand side here, is effectively the same structure that you see in Producer and in Manager when you're creating the content. So I'm going to go into here and I'm going to look under Sales and see what information we have there. Here you can see that I have some simulations, I have a book or a presentation, and I have an individual book page or a single slide in here as well. I'm going to start with simulations because they're one of the most common components of SAP Enable Now. If I select a simulation, I have some information about that simulation that's displayed on the right hand side, and I have a bunch of playback buttons across the top for the different modes that the simulation can be played back in. Now, any simulation, it's a single recording, but it can be played back in a number of different modes. I'm going to show you the main two modes here, which is the demo mode and practice mode. Demo mode is typically a hands-off demonstration on how to do something in the application. In this case, how to enter a sales order in Fiori. So I'm going to start the demo mode. That will open a new window for me. And this is 100% automatic. I'm not touching the mouse or the keyboard here. It will go through, show the information on the screen, perform the actions and show what those actions are, where they're performed on the screen, and so on. And it will step me through every step of this particular task and show me how it's done in the system. Again, purely a hands-off demonstration. I'm going to pause it there and point out a couple of other things. I have across the top here a progress bar. This progress bar shows me the overall length of the simulation and my progress through it. So I can see at the moment I'm maybe a quarter of the way through. You can also see that there's little dots every so often on this bar. These are effectively jump points, and I can jump right to that particular point if I want to. You notice as I hover over it, there's a title of that jump point put in there. That's the title of the step. And I can jump straight to there. If I say, oh, I already know all of this bit, I just need to know about how to enter item details. I can go and click on that step, and now the simulation will progress to there, and again will continue automatically from that point. Information here, typically business specific information, process information. There's no action associated with this. The actions, it puts a red box around where I need to click, and it does that click for me, shows me the mouse clicking on it, and again walks me through step by step. So that is the demo mode of a simulation. I'm going to pause that while I explain this next bit. This is opened effectively in a virtual window on top of my current browser tab. You can see my close button over on the left hand side here has a little number 2 on it. That means I've got two things open, my initial library where I launched this from, and now the simulation effectively on top of it. This is good because it means if I close this down, and I'm going to click that exit button now, I'm right back to where I was with the thing I selected highlighted again, and I'm ready to pick up exactly where I left off. I don't click the back button on the browser, which will reload pages or do other things. I'm just going to go back to exactly where I was. So that was demo mode. I'm now going to show practice mode, and we'll see the difference with that. So in practice mode, again, it's the same simulation, but there may be different texts in there. So here, for example, in the demo mode, it said, in this demonstration, you'll see how to enter a sales order because it's a pure hands-off demonstration. Here it says, in this activity, you will enter a sales order because I have to do this. This is a hands-on exercise for me. Again, the screens are the same, the steps are the same generally. You can tweak them to be different if you want to, but normally the only thing that would be different here is the text, because here you need to have the data, and typically you don't have specific data in the demo mode. So this is now me controlling the mouse. I have to progress step by step. It now says you need to click the drop down icon on the menu bar. I have to go and click that. This is me clicking it, me controlling it. So then it tells me what I have to do next is click here, and it will go through and it will tell me exactly what I need to do. So I have to perform all of these actions. Each time I perform an action, it goes on to the next one, tells me the next thing I have to do. Very similar to demo mode, but I'm controlling the action here. It's making me type this information in, etc., etc. If I do the wrong thing, it will pop up a dialog box that says, hey, you did the wrong thing there. Do you want to try again? Do you just want to skip this step? Or do you need help with what we're doing here? And I'll show you what you have to do. And if I say, yes, I need help, it says, this is where you need to be. You need to go there and you need to type OR. So I go here, I type OR in there, and then I can progress on. So that is the practice mode. It shows me the best way to carry out this particular task and walks me through it step by step as I perform those actions myself. This is a great way of giving users confidence that they'll be able to do the task in the system, because effectively they can't do it wrong. As you've seen, if I do the wrong thing, it will say, hey, no, that wasn't right. Here's what you need to do instead. And it will make sure that I can get through this simulation. And that's good for enforcing that confidence on the part of the learners before they get into the real system. Again, this is in a virtual window. I can close this down and get back to where I was. Usually there's a document that's been generated for this if the users need a printable version. So this uses the same simulation. It's got the same things in it. It's got the same cropped images to save a bit of space. Got exactly the same instructions in it. So if they need a printable version, it's got all of exactly the same information in it, taken directly from the simulation. So I'll close that down and I'm back to here again. So that's the basics of simulations. The other useful modes, test mode is quite often used. That is a test. The user gets very, very brief instructions, really just the data, and they have to be able to perform that task themselves, and they're graded on it. That's good if you really want to make sure that users know how to do this, because it's effectively a graded test of them performing this action, as I say, with very little help. Concurrent mode is good if you're running in the real system and have two monitors. You can run the concurrent mode in one monitor and it will show you how to do it as you perform the action in the real system. That's quite often used in the in-application help as a method there. So that's simulations. Next thing I'll look at briefly here is courseware. If I look at this, this is a presentation. And if I start that presentation, very similar to what you would see in a PowerPoint presentation, for example, I've literally just thrown a couple of slides in here just to show you how the functionality looks. It looks just like a slide. I can navigate between those slides. That's my whole presentation here. But I wanted to come and emphasize this particular page here. So this is really what I'd call a page flipper. It's just, here's a sheet of information, go on to the next page, here's another sheet of information, etc., all the way through it. Just like you can get in PowerPoint, nothing too fancy about it. That's a very, very basic courseware type deliverable in SAP Enable Now. However, the comparison with PowerPoint is probably not doing SAP Enable Now justice, because it does so much more than that. If I close this down, I'm now going to go and show you a true e-learning package that's been built to be standalone self-paced learning as opposed to just a page flipper. And to do that, I'm going to demonstrate it in Manager. So this is the SAP Enable Now Manager. Typically, learners can get in here if it's used as a kind of LMS Lite. If you're using SuccessFactors or a true learning management system, you probably won't use this. But if you don't have anything else, this is a good option. I'm going to go to the Learner view here. This shows me all of the courses that have been assigned to me as a user, whether that's done via my organizational unit, it's done via the role that's assigned to me, or it's assigned to me as an individual. I'm going to pick one particular course to look at, and I select that course in my course list, and it gives me the details of that course over on the right-hand side. I get a bit of explanation at the top here. It tells me what topics are covered, how long it's going to take, prerequisites, related courses, etc. And then generally I will see all of the modules within that course. It can be configured to only show the course headline, and you have to launch that to see all of the content. In this case, I've got it set up so I can jump into the middle of the course if I want to. If I just need a refresher or I want to take the modules in a different order, I can do that. This is a course for creating Web Assistant help content, and I'm going to go straight into the module that shows me how to do that. So I'll launch that module. It opens in a separate browser window, and this is similar to what we just saw. And what I'll point out here is that, as you heard in the background there, this has audio on it as well. It has a progress bar across the bottom showing me how far we've progressed in that, and it has other information in it as well. This is still really just a page flipper, but again, I've got the audio that you can hear if I unmute that again or play it some more.
&help-editor equals true to the URL.
I'll just pause the audio there. There's other things in here. I've got pop-ups with additional information if I need that. I can go through all of the pages one by one as we saw before. There's other things I can do in here to show additional information. There is audio over this. I've got steps in here as well. If I play the audio again, as I click on each of these,
the save button will save your changes. You should always the undo button will undo.
There's audio for each of these, so we have a bit more interaction there. The user has to do something here, and the more you force your users to interact with the courseware, the more likely they are to pay attention to it, instead of just clicking the page down button every time and or the next page button and ignoring the content. You force them to interact with it, they're more likely to remember it. I can select a page and jump directly to that page if I want to. On the right hand side, I can see which pages I've been to already. They have check marks against them. For this exercise, I'm going to jump straight into creating a guided tour. So I'll jump to that page. This again has audio if I unmute it.
Walk through the steps for creating a new guided tour.
And it basically gives me a start button. The audio said I need to click on that to see the steps. I'll pause the audio for now so it's not distracting us. But here again, I have to interact with the page. So I click here, it shows me a graphic, it tells me what I need to do, highlights the thing on the graphic as well. And I have to go through this step by step. It tells me I can go back a step if I need to. So if I missed something, I can absolutely go back to step one, carry on from where I was, and I just step through each step at a time. I have to interact. It shows me in bite-sized chunks, which is useful for absorbing that information. As I go through here, again, it's refreshing that image for me. And all of this is on a single page. In PowerPoint, I would need to do each step on a separate slide because there's so much information on here. Having it all on a single page is very good for distributing this information, because if I want to include this information in another presentation or want to send someone a link to it, I only have one link that I need to worry about, which is a link to this page. And I can absolutely share that with another user from here. I can click the share button, and then I can click share via email, and it will send that person an email. It gives me somewhere to type in their email address and a text, or I can just copy this URL. Or if I wanted to carry on doing this on my mobile device, I can just scan this QR code and it will open it exactly on this page on my device as well. So it's all embedded on a single page because that makes it much easier. And as I step through here, again, it refreshes all of these things. I've got links to other information in here that I can have. And on some of these steps, you can see here that I've got a screenshot showing me information about that step, but I've got other options down the bottom here. And I can interact with that and say, I want to see what it looks like if I use a style type of rectangle. So if I click on that, it now shows me what options are for that. Or underline, I have the same kind of options, but the style name's different. So I can switch between these. So again, I have more information overlaid on top of each other on this screen, and I'm just showing the relevant information in here as I need it. So there's a lot more that you can put on there. Again, all of this is on a single slide, all of this information, just one single slide that's been built out. And it's very interactive. It forces me to do things. Again, I can go back to individual steps. There is audio.
This is displayed.
So as I jump to a step, it will play the audio for that step.
Click on the Assign Hotspot
If
button.
I jump back, it will stop that audio and it will play the audio for this new step. So it will always synchronize the audio with the step that I'm on.
Apply.
So very, very good use of interaction. And we've got text to read, we've got graphics to look at, we've got audio as well, and we've got interactions. So a lot going on in here. Very, very effective self-paced learning. So that was all I wanted to show on that. I close that down. I'm back into my manager here. So this is Courseware. This is how Courseware works and what it can look like. And again, I'm just accessing it here via the Learner view if you want to use SAP Enable Now as an LMS. Otherwise, you can just publish this out to a SCORM package, load it into your learning management system. It will look and feel exactly the same way I just showed you. It's just managed somewhere else. So the next thing I want to look at is Web Assistant. This is the in-application help for browser-based SAP applications. So what I've got on the screen now is a standard S/4HANA cloud system. Once Web Assistant is connected to your S4 system, you will see a question mark icon up in the top right. This calls up the Web Assistant. If I click on that now, Web Assistant is opened up and I see what we call the carousel down the right hand side. This is giving me all of the help that is applicable to this screen. It's context sensitive. So all of the information on here is specific to this home screen. Now, first of all, note that when I displayed the help, it basically squashes the whole application screen sideways. If I hide the help again, you can see here I've got warehouse management, quality management, usage decisions, and then everything else is on the drop down. Once I show the help, it squashes the whole application screen up. So now I can only see as far as warehouse management, and everything else is on the drop down. So my scroll bar is right here now. So it's never obscuring anything that you need to see on the screen. Now, within Web Assistant, there's effectively 4 different pages, and these have these icons along the top here. Everything on the bottom is edit stuff, which I can see because I'm an editor as well. End users would not see any of those tabs. Save this last one at the bottom that lets me hide the carousel and just leave the help stripe displayed. So users typically have up to 4 pages of information. If there is no information for that page, it just doesn't show that icon and they can't get to the page. So the first thing I have here is the help topics. These are individual tiles that provide me targeted information for something on the screen. And you can see as I hover over this home tile, it points to the object it's talking about, which is the home menu at the top left. And I've also got a little icon by the side of that. So here it gives me some information about that. It says, okay, the thing called home, you can navigate to all the apps in your Launchpad from there. But if I click on this help tile, I'll get some more information. I've got another bubble pops up here giving me more information about that object. So I've got an extra layer of help in there. I can show the same information by clicking the icon. If I'm navigating within the application and I'm not sure what to do with a particular screen, if it has this icon on it here, or the help is highlighted in some other way, in this case, this is also help, but here it's shown as a rectangle around the button. Different ways that you can show content. Same thing here. I can click on this icon and I can show this help here. If it's shown as a rectangle instead of an icon, I can click on the shaded bit in the corner and it will show me the bubble related to that. And again, that bubble has got text in it. I've got links to other content in it. I can have images in it, tables in it, even videos in it. All of that information, anything that's applicable to this screen, I will find in here. So that's what we call the context help, or the help topics in here. All of these tiles relate only to information that's on this particular screen. If I go to another screen, for example, if I go to my managed sales orders screen, it will now show me only the help topics that are applicable to this particular screen. Again, you can see I've got highlights for the help. Here they're shown as circles. On the previous screen, we saw icons and rectangles. Circles are just another way of doing that. But again, similar things. I can click on that and get additional information. And now everything that I'm seeing in the carousel here is specific to this particular screen. So again, context sensitive. You're never going to be overloaded with help. You'll only see stuff that's applicable to the screen that you are currently on. Now, that's the help topics. The next page on here is what we call the guided tours. These are step-by-step walkthroughs of how to carry out a specific business task in the application. And again, this is context sensitive. There are many guided tours available to me, but the only one I have that's applicable to the Manage Sales Orders screen is this one called Entering a Sales Order. And if you think back to the simulations where I was guided through step by step, and it showed me basically in a simulation, in a recording, here it's going to show me a similar thing, but in a live system. So I am in a live system here. This isn't demonstration. This is a fully functional system. And I'm going to go through this guided tour, and it will guide me through what I need to do. So I'm going to start this guided tour. It hides the carousel, so it's not in the way because we don't need that at the moment. And I'm now into my guided tour. I've got an introductory panel here where it's useful to put some information saying, hey, this is what you're doing here, just to make sure that you've selected the correct guided tour. So I click Start, and it's going to walk me through what I need to do. So again, real application. It's overlaying the help on top of my application as I'm performing my actual job. So here it says, click on the Create menu. That's the first thing I need to do. As soon as I perform that action, it then goes on to the next action for me, points to the next thing that I need to do, which in this case is select Create Sales Order from the drop-down menu. I click on that. It goes on to my next screen, and then it will find the next field that I need to fill in and tell me what I need to do there. So here it's saying that I need to enter the order type. Note here, I've got a hyperlink in here. Again, just like you can with help tiles, you can put in hyperlinks, images, videos, tables, format your text, whatever else you want. What I'll point out here though is if I click on this, it says normally the order type's OR for domestic orders, but you can see a full list of available order types here. If I click on that, it will open the target of that link, which is the exact same single page that we saw earlier when I was showing you my page flipper presentation. This is that exact same page. What it's doing is effectively showing me one slide from the middle of a presentation. It could be a 300 slide presentation, but only one specific slide within that is applicable to what I'm doing here. So I can link to exactly just that single individual slide for true targeted help when I need it. So I'll close that down. I'm back here. Here again, I will type OR, and each time I do things, it's going to give me more help. Sometimes there's nothing I need to do. Here it just says complete the remaining fields, and these are completed automatically. You can change them if you need to. I'm good there. I'm okay with those values. I can click the next button and it says, fine, go click create now. That's the next thing you need to do. Again, I'm in the application. It's walking me through. Click create and it will go on to the next step for me. And that was as far as I recorded this particular guided tour, just to show how that works. So I'm going to finish that there. That was guided tours. The next thing I'm going to show you in here is learning content that we've linked into here. So if a user is in here, they look at the help tiles, they don't find the information they're looking for, they go to the guided tours, but they still don't find what they're looking for, they can go and see if there's any training material that's applicable to this. If I click on this learning button, what I'll see is all of the training material that's applicable to this specific screen that I'm on. And in this case, I can see that I've got a presentation available to me, a guide to sales orders, and a simulation entering a sales order. These are the two exact things that I was looking at earlier. So if I go to a guide to sales orders, that's going to open that presentation for me. And that has everything that we saw before. Here's my simple 3-slide presentation with all of this information in it. If I go to the simulation here, this is a simulation. If I start that, I see exactly the same simulation that we saw before. Exactly the same way. You can see I've got my progress bar across the top. I can go through it step by step. I have to perform the actions exactly as it was before. I can get this to display in demo mode or in practice mode or concurrent mode. For this demonstration, I happen to have it in practice mode, so I have to do the steps myself. But the point is, it's exactly the same training that they previously saw, whether that was ad hoc learning that they were doing or it was part of formal training that they went through. All of that training material is linked right into here in the help in the application. They can get to it very easily. They don't need to go to the learning management system, find the course they went on, open that up again, navigate to the relevant page or whatever. It's right in here for them. So again, they can easily drill down to that help content if they need to get to it. Now, the next thing I'll point out, if the user still can't find the help they need here, which is context sensitive again, this is a training applicable to this particular screen. What I can do is go to the Learning Center, and that will show me all of the training content that is available. It's effectively everything all thrown into a single page. And I can filter it by type of content. So now I'm looking at, I've got books, I've got book pages, I've got simulations, but it's just an alphabetical list. I can search within it, I can filter it by role if I want to, look at stuff that only applies to customer service, whatever I need to do, I can do those things from here. Now, I don't personally like this interface too much because again, it's just an alphabetical list of all of my training content. And there's a lot of training content available because it's no longer context sensitive, it's everything. However, what I can do is I can configure the system so that instead of it showing me this page when I go to the Learning Center, if I just make one small change, if you bear with me here, and that change would typically be put into the configuration of the system. It's not something you would actually go and change in the URL. Just for demonstration purposes, I'm showing you this. But from here, now if I go and click that Learning Center button, what it will do, instead of opening the tiled Learning Center, it will open my trainer. Exactly the same thing that we saw earlier, with all and only the content I want the users to see, organized the way I want it to be organized. So if this is a familiar interface to your users, being able to get to here and, hey, you still need help, here's everything we've got. This is a nice interface that will be familiar to them and is a bit more easily navigable. Last thing I'll mention in here, the community link. The intention behind this is that this will link to a help forum or a SAP Jam page or a Yammer page or something where they can ask questions of other users, maybe power users are monitoring it, but it's really just a URL. It could be pointing to your help desk ticketing system or something else so that they can raise tickets to ask for things. However you want to use it, it's up to you, but it's an option that's in there. In this case, I've got that linked to the SAP Enable Now community, which is a great source of information if you don't know that already. But the reason why I like this is because there's a place where we can ask and answer questions in here. So again, it's a way for users to go and ask the community, and they can get to that again directly from within the application. Okay, so that's the learning page. Oh, one more thing I'll point out while we're here. If I go back to the Help Topics page and go back to the first screen of that, another thing that I can do here is I can link to other content directly from within a help tile. So I explained earlier that we can have additional information in here. We can have hyperlinks, we can have images, videos, whatever else. Another thing that I can do is I can link individual slides in a presentation to the help topics here. If I think there's something particularly important that they need to pay attention to, and I don't want to have it on the learning tile, I can put it right in here. So I've got here, for example, this page, how does DSO work? And if I click on that, this is a link tile. What that will do for me is it will display that one page or one slide from my presentation over the top of the application screen. I'm not going to a separate tab. I'm not opening anything else. It's showing me that information exactly where I need it. And it's overlaid on top of the application screen. I can open it in a separate browser tab if I want to. Got exactly the same functionality as before. So that's another great way of providing targeted information to users at the point of need. And again, this could be one page out of a much bigger presentation. It could just be a standalone page of information, which is what it is in this example. But again, I can provide that to users where they need to reference it. So last thing that I'll point out here is there's one last page in here. I don't have it on this manage sales orders screen, so I'm going to go back to my prior screen to show you. So I'm going to go back to my home screen, and now I see I have that fourth icon down here, and this is what's new. And what this is designed to do is showcase new information, anything changed in the application, or hey, we've added some new guided tours for you. I've got a separate page here for it. The color's different so that users know this is new content. And that's all available to me here. So in terms of providing information on what's changed, things they need to watch out for. Hey, we've introduced a new distribution channel. It's code XYZ. Always use that with this type of order. Whatever else it is, you can put that information in here. There is also the ability to flash up a message the first time that the user goes to the screen that has this What's New content to say, hey, there's new information on the What's New page. Make sure you go check that. And you can also get it to display a particular piece of What's New information directly as soon as they open this particular application page. It will flash up, this is what's new, and it will show them that information over and above having a list of the things that have changed. So that's another good thing that we can do here with the Web Assistant. So that's basically all the Web Assistant functionality. It's baked right into the application because the closer we can get the help to the point of need of the users, the more they're going to use it. And this is literally one-click help. Because it's targeted, context sensitive, whichever screen you happen to be in, and here I'll go to supplier invoices list. If I'm in here and I need help, I pull up the help here and it gives me information about this particular screen. This is exactly what I need. One click and I've got, hey, here's help that's probably going to be helpful for you. And I've got all of my tiles in here. I might have guided tours. I've got my training content in here as well. It will tell me what's new, etc., etc. All of it is screen specific. So that's Web Assistant. It's designed for SAP cloud-based applications, specifically anything using a Fiori interface. So it works very, very well with any S4 system. It works well with SuccessFactors. There's parts of Ariba it works with. Concur's coming soon. IBP it works with. A few other systems. I will finish all of this in Web Assistant, and I'm going to show you one last thing. As I said, Web Assistant is really designed for SAP's browser-based applications. If you've got any other Windows application that you want to provide help for, the last component of SAP Enable Now is the Desktop Assistant. And Desktop Assistant is the help for any Windows application. So here I'm going to use an application called Audacity. It's an audio recorder. I'm using this specifically because it's not an SAP product. It's not a Microsoft product. It's a truly independent product. And I want to show you how Desktop Assistant works with that. Now, typically, you would want Desktop Assistant to be always running on your PC. So it can check what applications you're using and then offer if there's any help available. It minimizes down to a very small bar at the side of the screen here. I can open that up and I've got a Desktop Assistant panel down the side here. Very similar to the help stripe that you saw in Web Assistant, but here it's confined to be just that small bit that's got those icons in it. Now, and watch what happens to this light bulb as I go into an application that it has help for. At the moment, I've got another application selected as the current application. You can see down here on my toolbar, File Explorer is my current application, and I don't have any help for that. But as soon as I go into Audacity and make that my active application, the light bulb here lights up. It says, hey, I've got help for this application. And here, if I click on that, I will now see something very, very similar to what we had with Web Assistant. Exactly the same format of content here. It's slightly different, but the way it's presented is basically the same. It has the same look and feel. And here I can see that I've got help topics. Similar thing, I've got icons here and I can click on an icon and it's going to give me help about whatever it's referring to. I've got the rectangles here, and again, I can click on that and I'll get exactly the same type of help that we saw before. I've got all of my help topics in here. I've also got guided tours. If I'm not sure what I'm doing and I want to record an audio file, I can go into here and it will work exactly the same way. I've got the bubbles over the top of my application as I'm doing things in the application. It says, hey, go and click on record. So I click on record, and then it will say, okay, when you finish doing that, click stop. And I click stop, and that's it. And that's as far as I had for this guided tour. Just to show you that we've got exactly the same functionality for any Windows application. Looks exactly the same way, same type of in-application help. So that's my help topics, my guided tours. Again, I've also got my learning here. So here I've got a simulation in here that will show me how to remove noise from a recording. And if I want to see that simulation, I can click on this and it will launch it. Exactly the same way that we saw for Web Assistant. Works very, very similar. I've even got the collapse button down the bottom here, and I can drop that down to showing me just the help stripe again. So again, where we have Web Assistant for the cloud-based, Fiori-based applications, we've got Desktop Assistant for any Windows application you like. We can provide exactly the same form of help. And that's the basics of SAP Enable Now. We've seen Desktop Assistant, we've seen Web Assistant in here, we've seen simulations, we've seen presentations, we've seen Courseware, we've seen how to use SAP Enable Now as a learning management system and assigning courses to users. Oh, one last thing while we're here. If I've completed a course, I get a certificate for it. We like certificates. It says, hey, this person has completed this particular presentation, whatever else. I can have those things. I can always see my progress in here, see exactly which bits of this course I've completed, or whatever else. I know I've been through these sections. I still need to finish this one. So some good functionality in there as well. And there's a lot of reporting behind this as well. I can see exactly who's looked at what, etc., etc. So that's the basics of the types of deliverables and how those deliverables will be displayed to users. If you need more information, get in touch with your CEE or contact me. Leave a comment on this video or go to my website. Check out the other videos on my YouTube channel. Follow me on Twitter. I hope you found that useful. Thanks for watching.